you for holding up your book. I see it has the Twin Towers on it. Is there significance to that?
Very much so. The Twin Towers on my book is in emerald green. And that's because when I was a little boy, my father, Lord rest his soul, worked on the actual construction of the Twin Towers. And I remember meeting him there once when it was 12 floors. He worked for Con Edison, and they were doing all the electrical work and all the installation of the commercial service.
It's strange how life connects, because then you ended up on Third Watch, and you were there before 9/11 and after.
And after 9/11.
And the shows reflected that.
And then it's interesting because after 9/11, they didn't know what to do. They were going to pull the show. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to go forward. And the powers that be had put out this particular script that I said to one of the guys who was one of the consultants that was in our crew, because I was the lieutenant. We can't do this, man. We have to. If up until this point we didn't take what we're doing serious, because when you work with actors, you get 10 people. 2 are method actors, 3 are haircuts, 4 are somebody's children, and 1 is an unknown. And then you have to put them all together and play volleyball, So, and you have to accept that. You have to accept that, because that's just the way it is. So I used to say to them, listen, from here on out, if not up till this point, we have to take this really serious, because those buildings are still burning. Those families are still hurting. This city is still reeling. And we have a responsibility to truly show what's going on here. It's not giggle time. We did an episode at the right over here close to you on 9th Avenue at that seminary, the church there. We did a funeral episode there. And we did a full-scale funeral.
Was it of firemen?
Yes.
And cops? Or?
It was the church was full of firemen and cops. And it's interesting because, and what I have to learn, what I'm learning, what I'm trying to major in and hopefully get a doctorate in someday, is total acceptance. Because I sat there in such reverence just because of my altar boy upbringing. When you're in a church, you take your hat off, you keep your mouth shut, you stop chewing gum, you kind of pay attention, you sit up straight, you pay homage. Not everyone does that. And there was a lot of stuff going on that was freaking me out. And the director said to me, can you get anybody's attention here? Can you get their attention? So during one of the scenes, and I won't give up any names because that wouldn't be nice. During one of the scenes, the only way I could get, let's call him a haircut, the haircut's attention, was I took out my father's rosary beads and I started looking at them. It wasn't on camera, and it was probably the best moment this guy ever had on camera in his life, because he had to look down and go,
to be reminded where he was.
To be reminded
and what
where
this
he
was about.
And what's going on. And what's going on. Our city is burning. People are hurting.
And then the tie-in with Tribeca is incredible, because that's exactly when Tribeca started. That's why Robert De Niro started it.
Which I love Robert De Niro for that. By the way, he's my favorite. He's my favorite actor, Robert De Niro. I come from a school where everybody loves Pacino. I tolerate Pacino. I love Robert De Niro. I love Robert De Niro, and I love what he's about, and I love that he put his heart where his mouth is, and he put it on the line, and he continues to.
And sorry to interrupt. And you were at Tribeca Film Festival this year in a movie.
Well, you know what's interesting about that, Dory Olds? When the Tribeca Film Festival started, the first year, I went to the street party. I went to the street party because I wanted to be a New Yorker who was present to show solidarity and respect and reverence to what was going on 4 blocks away. But I've never gone since, because my great teacher Shelley Winters said, if you're not in a film festival and you're an actor, don't show up because you look better. Show up when you're in something.
And that you did.
And that I did this
and,
year.
And
that
that's
I
how
did
we
this
met.
year. I was so proud to be there this year for so many reasons.
Can you talk about the film?
Yes, it's a film called Wolves. It's a real, I look at it as a love letter to New York City. Bart Freundlich wrote it and directed it. It's if anybody attended it, as you did and I did, it started as a short story that he wrote when he was 16 years old, and it manifested into this film. It was a joy to do this film because it was very collaborative, very New York.
Did you feel a connection with the compulsive gambler father, played by Michael Shannon?
I knew the territory, not that it was my father, but I had uncles that would bet on cockroaches running out of fucking soup cans. I mean, I'll take the one on the right, I got the one on the left. There might be a third one. You want to get in on this? You know, and the addiction and the bullying. And the bullying.
By people like your character, you were scary in that movie.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, here he had gambled away all the money, and he owed you, and with just simple glances, you embodied, one of these tough guys that is going to break your legs or worse if you don't pay up.
Well, thank you, Dory. I have to reference Shelley Winters for that, and there's a name that needs to be mentioned a lot, because a lot of people have forgotten, and soon the generation that was hers will be gone. She told me 30 years ago, on a hot August day in the New Dramatists, where I was working on Shannon in Night of the Iguana, she said, sit down, shut up, you have talent, but take it easy. And she said, I'm going to give you a couple of life lessons and acting lessons. First off, you got to breathe. So I wrote on my left wrist, breathe, in a big pen. And she said, second off, you got to listen. And I wrote on my right wrist, listen, which I'm still working on. And anyone who knows me will tell, this guy doesn't listen, but I do listen. And then she told me, I'm going to give you the gift of film. She said, speak low and think loud. And if you do, they're going to lean in. And during that movie, it's funny how things cross. Shelley Winters gave Robert De Niro his break. And all I could think about during that movie was Robert